In the name of Allah, the Merciful, the Compassionate. Assalamu alaikum and hello to everyone. This is Dr. Kashif Bashir, and we are reading from Towards Understanding the Quran, the third verse of second Surah Al Baqarah, the cow. The third verse translates as for those who believe in the existence of that which is beyond the reach of human perception, who establish prayer and spend out of what we have provided them. This verse has three parts. The first part translates as for those who believe in the existence of that which is beyond the reach of human perception. It is explained as this is the second prerequisite for deriving benefit from the Quran. Ghaib signifies the verities which are hidden from the man's senses and which are beyond the scope of man's ordinary observation and experience. For example, the existence and attributes of Allah, the God, the angels, the process of revelation, paradise, hell, and so on. All these things are ghaib. Belief in the ghaib means having faith in such matters based on an absolute confidence in the messengers of Allah. And despite the fact that it is impossible to experience them, according to this verse, Quranic guidance can prove helpful only to those prepared to affirm the truths of the suprasensory, the suprasensory realm. People who make their belief in these questions conditional upon sensory perception of the object of belief and who are not prepared even to consider the possibility of the existence of things that cannot be weighed or measured cannot profit from this book. The second part of this verse translates as who establish prayer, which we call namaz. This is explained as this is the third requirement. It is pointed out that those to whom belief means merely the pronouncement of a formula, who think that a mere verbal confession of faith is enough and that it makes no practical demands on them, can derive no guidance from Quran. To benefit from the Quran, it is essential that a man's decision to believe should be followed immediately by practical obedience to Allah. Prayer is the first and continuing sign of practical obedience, the namaz. No more than a few hours can pass after a man has embraced Islam than the muezzin who calls to prayer, and it becomes evident whether or not the profession of faith has been genuine. Moreover, the muezzin who calls to pray, he calls for 5 times every day. And whenever a man fails to respond to his call, it becomes clear that he has transgressed the bounds of practical obedience. An abandonment of prayer amounts to an abandonment of obedience. Obviously, if a man is not prepared to follow the directives of his guide, the Allah's guide, it is immaterial whether or not true guidance is available to him. The last part of this verse translates as, and spend out of what we have provided them. It is explained as, this is the fourth prerequisite for a person to benefit from the Quran. Demands that the person concerned should neither be niggardly nor a worshipper of money. On the contrary, he should be willing to pay the claims on his property of both Allah and man, and should not flinch from making financial sacrifices for the sake of his convictions. Thank you so much. May Allah bless us the knowledge of Quran and to understand it deeply so that we can benefit it most from it and in this life and hereafter. Thank you so much. Allah Hafiz.